Goedenavond allemaal, weer een nieuwe aflevering van Saint Mac on Air. Deze keer doen we het live. Je hoort, er is achtergrondgeluid, alles erop en eraan, dus het komt goedenavond allemaal, helemaal goed. Weer een nieuwe aflevering van Saint Mac on Air. Deze keer doen we het live. Je hoort, er is achtergrondgeluid, alles erop en eraan, dus goedenavond allemaal, helemaal goed. Weer een nieuwe aflevering van Saint Mac on Air. Voilà, dat is opgelost. We gaan iets anders moeten werken, zie ik, want ik had wat achtergrondgeluid. Het is de eerste keer met live publiek. Het is niet veel live publiek, maar ik ga het jullie wel heel even tonen. Voilà. Dat zijn de diehard fans van ons allemaal, die nu niks meer zien, alleen nog horen. Dus des te beter. Vanavond Kenny online, of Kenny in de show eigenlijk. Dus we zijn zeer benieuwd. Hij is eigenlijk bij het grote publiek, denk ik, al langer bekend, of bij het whisky-publiek alleszins al langer bekend, bij het grote publiek sinds kort, maar niettemin, welkom. Hi Kenny.
Hi guys.
Are you ready for it?
I'm not ready as I'm ever going to be, Gunther.
Okay. There's the question, it's a new location just for today. We have a tasting afterwards, and so we scheduled it in just half an hour earlier, so let's go for it. Kenny, we will have a drink or two, maybe more. Okay, this one is old Kinroy is coming outside, he's saying, so that's a cheap shot. There's a lot of guys saying hi, and of course there he is, the one and only Chilton. And hi, Kenny and Vic. For the ones who are looking in the tent, they don't have any picture anymore, so I'm going to try to share the screen later on the show, so they can view the same things we seeing. For the rest, Kenny, Dràm Mòr.
Hello.
You started at a young age. You sent me some notes of yourself, and the one thing what I mentioned fairly in the beginning was you started at the age of 19. It's really.
Well, this is in Scotland the same as in most places. When you're a kid, you need a little bit more extra money. So I got a job in a local bar, but it was a bar that was very much concentrated on whisky, which was quite unusual for the time. Because, you know, you're talking about the kind of mid to late 80s, where it wasn't really the trendiness that it is nowadays, where people really want to learn and understand about whisky. Now, I was quite fortunate coming from a family they're a Gaelic-speaking family from the Western Isles. Whisky's very much part of our culture. It's a part of our society. And also a grandfather who had worked for most of his days in Ballantyne's distillery as well. So we had whisky all around us. So when you were young and they were starting to kind of dip your toe into drinking, you know, guys would go for vodka, guys would go for gin. I always wanted whisky. And I learned more. Thereafter, I went into both off-trade and on-trade as far as the selling of whisky went. And then I kind of vanished from it for 17 years, where I worked for the British government. I was a meat inspector for the Food Standards Agency. So a total break from the industry. But it's one of these things that the passion never goes away. And it was always a hobby. It was something I loved. And I had the opportunity nearly 10 years ago to turn that passion into a business. And that's where I find myself today.
Okay. So you started out very young, then you started working in the industry. But how did you come up with the idea let's start something as an independent bottler?
Yeah, well, it's funny, you know, I have been asked by people, you know, why did you do this? And I lie, why the hell did I do this? It's stressful. But the whole thing began, I was given the opportunity to take a voluntary redundancy to get away from the job, which I didn't want to do anymore. And I thought, well, what else could I do? I've done this for too long. And the only other thing I really had from here in my heart was whiskey. So I thought, well, I could start with whiskey tastings and local bars and stuff like this. It's very difficult in our industry where when you genuinely aren't known to people, it's very, very difficult to break into this industry. So between doing local tastings for people, and also I did a hell of a lot of training. In my old job, I was also a training officer. So I started to train bar staff, hoteliers, restaurateurs on all things whiskey. Now, along about this time, we actually went to Glengoyne Distillery with Viktorija's brother and his now wife on a visit. And whilst there, Viktorija had asked them, we can't buy Glengoyne in Lithuania. Why not? And no one could answer. So about 6-7 phone calls later, we get through to a man who's now a good friend, Stuart Thompson, who's one of the sales directors. And they said, well, why are you asking? I said, well, we've got an idea. We can help you open up this new market. So we get called in, we had a discussion with them, and the boys at Glengoyne said, yeah, why don't you try, see if it works. And it worked really successfully. So on the back of that, we ended up working with a good few different distilleries. Big Paul Dempsey is on. We've done a wee bit of work with Paul at Speyside Distillers. I've been working now for Ian McLeod's freelance as a brand ambassador for, it's coming on 5 years. So it just seemed the next logical step. It was one of these things where you've gone so far and what do you do next? And we thought, well, I've done a lot of work for other people. It'd be really nice to do some for ourselves. Yeah.
You mentioned before you did a lot of tastings. You even did some very strange countries, may I say. I've been to what's it called? Japan, I saw, and what's the other one? Tel Aviv. And you did master classes for the Golf Hall of Fame, Rolls-Royce Global. Those are big guys.
The Golf Hall of Fame was really interesting. Normally, Golf Hall of Fame is only ever held in America once a year. The Golf Hall of Fame, this was the first time ever it had come to Scotland, to St Andrews. And I'd been contacted by some of the guys who were running it to say, could you do a tasting for us? I said, well, yeah, no problem at all. And what kind of thing do you want me to do? And it turned out it was pretty much all millionaire Americans who basically, if I'm being completely honest, I could have told anything. But they loved it. It went down really well. The Rolls-Royce job, they have a meeting, an annual meeting every year, and they move from country to country. This particular year it was in Scotland, and the British representative for Rolls-Royce had asked if I could do a whiskey tasting for after dinner to make it feel much more Scottish for them as they were in Glasgow. And that was excellent. I really enjoyed that one because people from all over the world, literally every corner of the world that Rolls-Royce work in, were in that room. So to a certain degree, I've been lucky with some of the clients that I've managed to get early, which helped move my name along. But at the same time, you've got to make your own luck as well. So, you've got to push yourself and make sure that when these jobs come up, people are talking about you and not someone else.
But you're an ambassador, of course, but you're actually not a normal. That sounds strange, but you're not a normal ambassador. You're an independent. So, like now, you're not working for a company, except Dràm Mòr, of course, but you're not paid from one or other distillery. So it's all by yourself now.
Pretty much.
Do you regret that choice at this point?
No, if I'm being honest. It's one of the things that for the last 4 months we've had no work, basically. But it's given us the opportunity to really concentrate on our own product, to really galvanise what we had with, you know, what I'm very happy to say was a very successful first release. We should all go into plan, have the next one, the bottling run is due at the beginning of next month. So what we've done with the time that's been given to us is really concentrate on making sure that some of the mistakes that we made last time, we don't make this time. Now, when you're working for someone else, yeah, it's great, you've got that job security, but at the same time, you're busy working for someone else, you're not doing it for yourself, and there's only so much you can divert from your daytime job to give to your own venture. So we've been fortunate where both Viktorija and I have not been affected health-wise with what's going on. So we've been able to just really knuckle down, work hard, and really kind of get us to the stage where not only are we ready for our second bottling, but we're getting ready for the third bottling, so that we're now ahead of ourselves. There have been, I'm not going to lie, there's been difficult times as well. There has been. We had very, very limited help for self-employed people from the government here. If you were in a job, you got what was classed as a furloughed wage, but we had to wait nearly 3 months before anything at all came through. Fortunately, you know, we had a little bit of money to keep us going, so we've survived. But yeah, it's not been easy, but it has given me the opportunity really to work hard beside Viktorija. Viktorija is very much the brains of the operation. I just turn up and do this. She's the brains, so it's good to for the two of us to work with each other, which we don't often get the opportunity to do, and really kind of hone what we want to get out of this as a growing business.
So you mentioned and you said already she's very important. I did some research at your site. She's from Lithuania. So it's if I'm correct, it's nearly Russia.
It's 2 away. They've got Latvia and Estonia between them and Russia.
Okay.
But Viktorija was, when she was born, they were still under the USSR.
Okay. And yeah, okay. What I also read is she have received the Prince Philip Award for Entrepreneurship and Developing Project between Lithuania and Scotland, and she even speaks 7 languages. So my question to you, which ones?
Here we go. So English, Russian, Lithuanian, Czech, a little bit of Danish, French.
She's helping you. She's helping you.
I know, it's great. That's a good life for you. Prompting me. Now, the strange thing is, though, Viktorija will say things like, oh, I can't speak Polish. Okay. And then you meet someone Polish, and the two of them will talk away for 10 minutes and walk. And I go, I thought you couldn't speak Polish. Oh, it's just the same as this language and that. So, yeah, she says 7, but, yeah, there's more.
Even more.
Yeah.
Does it help in the industry?
Massively. If you can communicate with people in their own language, it's such a difference. Now, unfortunately, certainly in the Scotland that I grew up in, you know, years ago, there was absolutely no real encouragement or emphasis on us learning other languages. That they were there at secondary school, but it wasn't really something that you were encouraged to do. As a result of which, I struggled to speak English, never mind anything else. So the very fact that I've got a woman with a brain who can genuinely communicate to people, yeah, that makes life really much easier. And it's so nice. I'm very envious when people can communicate in a language other than their own. I think it's lovely to go to someone's country and to be able to converse with them without having real change to the stupid language that I speak.
Yeah. Kenny, let's go fast forward. 2019 is a very important year for you and Viktorija.
Yep.
You started out with Dràm Mòr. You mentioned, it was your mutual ID, but it's not that easy. And I mailed a bit with Viktorija, so I know the answer, and I presume you know it as well. How did you get the idea, or how did Viktorija, in this case, get the idea to start with as an independent bottler? Because I'm for sure. Yeah, let's tell her.
Come on.
Don't use the belt. Don't use the belt.
The idea of what the belt. Okay. So the idea came from, at least for me, in Ghent Whiskey Festival, where we went 3 years ago now for Glengoyne, and we were standing at the Fillier stand, and I saw how good a job Kenny was doing for Glengoyne, and we were outselling Ian McWilliam, who was standing next to us with Glenfarclas. And I was just, the strange idea where I thought, see, if we could just only do it for ourselves. And then 2 years later, we had a meeting with Krian and Steph and Gert and Claudine in Oranmore. And we already had bought our first casks, and we just ran it by them. And they said, guys, this is great. We really like the stuff that you've got. And I told Kenny, instead of maybe doing private labels for small clubs or restaurants, we could just come up with our own brand and have our own whiskey. So this is how it all happened. So basically, it happened all in Belgium.
Yeah, and talking about Belgium, this was the last time you were in Belgium. Not so long ago.
Not so long ago.
So, and the man on the picture on the right, I mean, is very important for you as well.
Massively.
It's the Belgium connection.
I met Jürgen, it'll be now 3 or 4 years ago at Maltstock. I was out, very fortunate that Ian McLeod sent me to work at Maltstock, which was an incredible experience and one that I've been lucky enough to replicate. And for anyone who's listening who hasn't been, definitely it is something that you've got to do. It is wonderful. It's such a really close-knit whiskey community. Mm-hmm. And I got talking to Jürgen, so we got to know each other. Years go by, you don't see each other. And then when it came time for us to find someone as a distributor for our whiskies in Belgium, and Jürgen, very fortunately for us, also looks after Holland and Luxembourg as well. It was just a no-brainer for us. And in all honesty, without Jürgen doing what he's done for us, he's propelled us so much faster than I thought we would ever be able to do. He's given us the opportunity. Well, firstly, he's given us trust. He's put trust in us that we can supply what we say we can supply, and at the quality that we said that we could do it. Honestly, without Jürgen and Patricia, we would never be as far down the road as we are now. And I owe that man a massive debt of thanks for the work that he's done for us.
Okay.
I really do.
So last year in 2020, he was chosen for 2019 was Whiskey Ambassador of the Year for Belgium.
Yeah,
so you earned that.
Very much so, and certainly in my opinion, it's not only the fact that he's been, very instrumental, especially in your part of the world, in making that brand grow. But it's the fact that he's such a genuinely decent person to work with. So when there are these little blips or misunderstandings, or we get something wrong, he will just calm everything down. Yeah. And I do have a couple other distributors that one tiny wee mistake, and they're going to come down on you like a ton of bricks. Yeah. Whereas with Jürgen, he knows that this is new to us. We're trying desperately hard to do everything right, but with the best will in the world, we're going to make mistakes. And he has been so encouraging and helpful when these little mistakes do occur, to help us get through them, get over them, and move on to our next phase. So to have someone like him with his experience, with his passion, has been, I can't thank him enough, honestly.
Okay, let's get him in here. Hi, Jürgen.
Good evening, all. Hi, Kenny.
I was only saying that because I knew you were there. I hope you know that.
I was watching you. Thank you so much for the kind words, Kenny.
You wrote them all down for me.
No, I did not.
You're just saying there's a massive wave over here. Everybody's getting insane over here. I don't know if the tent will be okay later on. So
there is not a mosh pit behind you, I hope.
Erik is starting it.
Okay.
No, Jürgen, you get to know Kenny, big time, I presume, and Viktorija as well. What made it for you an easy or difficult choice to get Dràm Mòr importing to you in the Belgian market and even Luxembourg and the Netherlands?
So for me, when the question came if I was interested in their products, as you know, I always need one thing. I have to check quality of what's inside the bottles. That's always the first thing. If someone proposes to me, are you interested in the products? One of the first things I asked Viktorija in the mail was, please send me some samples of what you're having bottled or going to bottle, so I can check what it is and see if it fits the markets that if it fits the markets that I'm working in. And luckily, the first 3 bottles, which was the Glenrothes 10 years old and the Glengarry and the Colilla, fitted nicely, and quality was really, really good. I was quite surprised after first nosing and tasting, because these were all relatively young whiskies. And we have a 6 years old Colilla and 8 years old Glengarry, which are really young whiskies. And they were very lively, very fresh, and I was quite surprised of that quality already at that age. So I felt that that Kenny and Viktorija at Dràm Mòr were actually really knowing what they were doing with their cask selection, and that's important. Every time when you work with an independent bottler, you have different people behind it, and everybody has an own opinion of whiskey and selecting and preferences. But the key word is always balance in every whiskey, in my opinion. And even with a young whiskey, I found it in all the new releases, I found it already balanced, and I was quite happy with it. So we just proceeded. I think the first order came really quickly after, and we just started.
Yeah, there's a first question. Did the mandatory pause due to COVID have a silver lining for you to perhaps buy some time to analyze and learning something from those beginners' mistakes? I think this is a question for Kenny.
Yeah, from Menno. I appreciate the question, Menno. Yeah, definitely. We've been fairly fortunate where most of the mistakes we've made have been relatively minor. There have been 1 or 2 that have been minor mistakes as far as the customer would see, but expensive ones for us. So I think one of the things that we've been able to do is really work on the business strategy to say, well, you know, this is how we're going to progress, and timetable how we're going to progress. Whereas beforehand, we had good casks, not too many of them, but we had good casks, and we thought, well, okay, let's do this. But realistically, it was pretty much, I have no idea how this is going to work. Whereas because we've learned, mainly, there's a lot of things we already knew because of working in the industry, but things you don't know, you don't understand about lead times for printing, you don't understand about lead times for bottling, for delivery orders, for working with distilleries who just won't speak to you. You know, there are some in our industry, the vast majority of people are wonderful, And there are some people who honestly would drive you to despair because they just don't know what they're doing. And unfortunately for us, in one particular place that will remain nameless, we've had quite a few casks sitting in their warehouse, and trying to get them out has been nigh on impossible. So the very fact that we've had this 4-month pause has actually bought us a little bit of time.
Yeah.
And yeah, it has given us a chance not only to evaluate what we're doing and how we do it, but also to realise that we've got to plan for downtime if there is a problem. It could well, I'm very much hopeful that once we start getting back to normal, everything's going to go okay. What happens if this reoccurs? So we've got to really financially plan, not only just from production. How do we survive if we had another 4 months of nothing?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not only given us time to really work out what we have to do to make this a success, but it's given us the opportunity to ask ourselves questions that we wouldn't normally have asked had times been normal, I think.
Okay, Kenny, something a bit different, but what's your favorite bottling at this point? Dràm Mòr bottling, of course.
I fell head over heels in love with the Glenrothes.
The Glenrothes. Okay,
Yeah,
so that's this one.
That's the very one.
That one.
Which will explain that catastrophe that I have at the moment. I've got none left. All the whiskies I was very happy with. It's one of the things that we agreed from the very beginning. If we are going to do this, I will not put something in a bottle unless I would go and buy it myself.
Yeah.
If it's not good enough for me, it's not good enough for any of my customers.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Sorry, fire away.
Jürgen, what's your favorite up till now?
I have a soft spot for the Glengarry in my opinion, because I really like bourbon cask maturation in general. So, and this is really fresh. Also easy drinking when the weather is as today, a bit hotter, a bit summer whiskey. So I'm quite fond of that one as well.
Okay. So the Glengarry, it's this one. Just to make sure everybody knows him.
Yes, that one.
It's getting no. It's the Glen Ross. They're passing around the bottle.
I'm drinking it right now. Just
it's a really good. As Jürgen says, it's quite an easy whiskey. There's a lot in there, but not overly complex.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing the vast majority of people will have noticed is there is a small spelling mistake on the bottle as well. As Glengarry has 1 R, not 2 R's. Now, we had this was a mistake that was made at the printers. I hand numbered every bottle in the first run and didn't notice. And it's only when it got to Jürgen that he said, you do realise that Glengarry spelled incorrectly? And honestly, I just wanted to crawl into a dark corner. I thought, no. I've been really lucky where both Jürgen and a few other distributors, when we've said, look, we'll reprint the labels, they went, no, this is good. We like this.
Yeah.
So anytime anyone wants me to spell something incorrectly, just let me know. I'm happy to do it again.
Jürgen, question for you.
Yeah.
Do you know why it's called Dràm Mòr?
Dràm Mòr.
Mm-hmm. I know for a fact.
Yeah. Yes, so you received instructions from Viktorija, so you. Actually, a dram is what is. But there's a heavy connection between Dràm Mòr and the region and of the Barton where Kenny and Viktorija live, and also from Loch Lomond. So I guess we have to find the name over there.
Try again.
No, yeah, it's
so
not.
Sorry, Kenny.
No, it's not completely bad. I think it's somewhere in the middle. Kenny, tell him. So he knows of some future tastings.
So for the Dràm Mòr is the word dram everyone will be familiar with, as it's basically been kind of
obviously
adopted into the English language, but a dram in the Gaelic, in our language, would be a large measure of whiskey. Now, the word more is also the Gaelic word for large, for big. But there are two different ways to spell more. There's M-O-R, which we have, and M-H-O-R. M-H-O-R is just something which is physically big. The word more in Gaelic, when we say it's large, it doesn't just mean physically, it means from here, from your heart. It means that it's all-encompassing. It's something that just is hugely important to you. So it sat well with me. And also, you know, we used to go to the Isle of Lewis and Outer Hebrides every summer when we were off school and to our family up there. And I would be known as Cognac Mòr, Big Kenny. So the very fact that more bit was always there, it was always part of who I was. So to tie that in with the business name, when I first started out, albeit just working around a few local bars doing tastings, I thought, well, I need a name. I can't just be Kenny Macdonald doing tastings. So Dràm Mòr made sense. And it's the more side for me is when you get a dram that you like and you take that drink and it just fills you. That's the big bit of it.
Okay, we will have a little pop quiz for the viewers. Actually, the viewers here. I will ask them one question, so you don't see me. You will be seeing them. So, guys, which one? It's very important. Which one of you doesn't like this dram? Nobody's. Kenny's watching. Who likes the dram?
All of them good.
There's one who's not saying anything.
I was going to say, you're not playing.
Yeah, I can send you his address, Kenny. So
I'll hopefully, you know, as soon as I can, I'll be back in Belgium.
And you will meet up with him.
Yeah, not a problem. And him and I can discuss this in a dark alley, exactly why he doesn't like my whiskey. Okay.
There's a question from Robert. Robert, fellow casketeer, so good man. More importantly, when are the next batch due out, and when are they coming to Belgium? And when are you doing a tasting?
So I was talking to Jürgen actually earlier, well, just towards the end of last week. The bottling run is due the first 2 weeks of August. So we've got about 4 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks to wait. And Jürgen will be the first person who gets the opportunity. So for me, the very fact that we really started in your marketplace, you're very much a priority customer of ours, and that's the way it's going to stay. The Belgian clientele that we've got and the following that we've got have been incredibly, you know, really enthusiastic about what we're doing. So we've got to be as loyal as we can to that following. So when any new release comes along, there will always be a heavy allocation geared towards the Belgian market. So I'm really hoping that we will have bottles on shelves before the end of August. I hope. Okay. Very beginning of September at the latest, but hopefully sooner than that.
Okay, another question. Kenny, what makes your brand special comparing to the other independent bottlers?
Well, Rob knows that because it's me. No, I think, see, sometimes small is beautiful. And this is a question coming from a man who's about 2.5 meters high. But sometimes small is beautiful. So the very fact that we aren't run by accountants, we aren't run by a bigger company who will use their single cask bottlings as an offshoot to the business. We live and die by the quality of what goes into our bottle. We're only ever as good as the last dram that you had from us. So it can take us years and years and years where everything is great. The minute you have a bad Dràm Mòr, you don't go and buy it again.
Yeah.
So the very fact that we are as small as we are means that we categorically cannot give you mediocre whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
And that, for me, makes us slightly ahead of the game.
Okay, something completely different now. It's a question for Viktorija, especially, and for Jürgen as well. So I'm going to show you a picture of Viktorija and Jürgen. You have to say which one is Kenny.
The one in the middle. I know those are two other guys as well. So this is Mark and Paul.
Viktorija, you agree with them?
I'm afraid I have to, yeah.
Oh, you're afraid you have to.
To be fair, they've started a cloning program over here. And we're all now being modelled on Paul Dempsey. So Paul was first. So we're now all just, there's this machine churning out young Paul Dempseys.
He's here.
Yeah,
He's
you
here.
go. Yeah.
Then there's another question. I don't know how to say it in English, but in Belgium we say it's working in black. Jürgen, do you have any idea how it's called in English? He's using Google.
Sorry,
So,
I didn't receive the question. Didn't get the question.
Is this guy working for you? The one on the right?
Actually, I hired him especially for a show in Liège last year.
You know,
He's working for you as well?
working? That's questionable.
Okay.
No, Shelton is definitely one of my best friends in the industry. I've been very fortunate to have met a hell of a lot of nice people in this job. And funnily enough, the day I met Shelton was also in Belgium. That was in Ghent. But that makes sense because he spends more time in Belgium than any other country. Why he lives in London, I will never understand. But no, Shelton and I have, it was just one of these friendships. The minute you meet, you know you're going to be fine with this guy. And we've always gone really well. I've actually been fortunate enough to do a job for Shelton. I had to do a Paul John taste, a masterclass in Stirling back home. If he's still listening, he'll tell you. He phoned me up and he said, "Oh, Kenny, are you busy on this date?" And he sounded quite excited. And I went, I'll check the diary. And I looked at the diary. What's a Saturday? No, I've got nothing on. And I thought he had a plan. There was going to be some fun thing that we were going to do. He went, "So you're totally free?" I went, "Totally free." "Great. You can do the Stirling Whisky Festival for me. I'm going to go." I thought, what? And then I was told just at the end, "Well, by the way, you've also got a sold-out masterclass." And he just put the phone down. And I thought... So, yeah, I think Shelton owes me some back for that one. So he's done well with...
He even asked a question before. So this is a question from Chilton. Kenny, any plans to bottle a single cask from out of Scotland in the near future?
I think there will be. The more the industry grows, and we can all see it over the last 10 years, but particularly say the last 5 or 6, the amount of very good international whiskies have really grown and grown and grown. And for me, what we're doing is we're showing the very best of what any given distillery can give you. We want to be true to the spirit, but give you something that's just a little bit out of the ordinary. Now, I think as a whiskey drinker myself, it's a little bit disingenuous to pretend that we're the only people in the world who can make good whiskey. So certainly over the next few runs, we will be very much concentrating on Scotch whiskey. But as we grow, I would be more than happy to look at, we've got very good connections with Penderyn, for example, in Wales, who bizarrely have got a Lithuanian master distiller, Aista, so we know her well. Certainly, talking to Shelton has said that if it's something that we want to do, he would be very, very open to the suggestion that we could do a collaboration. I know Cadenheads did a Paul John bottling, and it was incredibly successful. So yeah, I would be very much open to that.
Okay. We didn't mention it before, but I think it's one of the most important things for you. Actually, there are 3 generations of Kennys, not Kennys. There are 3 generations of your family which are worked in the industry. The first one is your dad, and the third one, the second one is you, of course, and the third one is your son.
It was my grandfather.
Oh, it was your grandfather. Sorry.
Sorry, my grandfather. My father was he was an engineer. Although, in fairness, he made sure that he kept the industry running. He was a good customer, but that was about it. Yeah, my eldest son, Rory. Rory has had an interest in whiskey from when he was young, 13, 14 years old, where he would see me sit down with a half, with a dram, and he'd say, "Dad, what's the difference between that one and the one that you had the last time?" So I'd start to explain it to him. So he was always allowed just here. He was allowed to nose. He wasn't allowed to taste it, but he was allowed to nose the whiskey. So over the years, he built up a really good idea of a flavour profile in his head of what went where and how different whiskies would balance. And even in the nose, even now, Rory's 24 now, and actually doing some work with us now as well, and doing it well. I'm delighted with him. Rory, even as a young man, nosing a whiskey could tell you, "Oh no, that's too spicy, I don't like that," or there would be something wrong in it. And even today, if I give him one of ours, I'll bring them home in sample bottles, which kind of look a bit more like this. So we'll get a sample bottle out of the distillery, and we'll sit down and we'll try the whiskey. And Rory will sit for a good 10, 15 minutes longer than anyone, just here.
Yeah. So he's well trained.
Give himself a rest, then come back to it. So Rory, he actually we've got a accredited program. You've got it in certainly in Holland. I'm sure you have in Belgium, the Whisky Ambassador program. So Rory is the youngest kid ever to sit and pass Whisky Ambassador, 18 years in one day. He sat it the day after his 18th birthday. He then worked in one of Glasgow's biggest whisky bars for 5 years during his studies, and now he's working with us. So to see the passion that he's got for it, as well as the understanding he's got at his age, I just wish I had the opportunity at that age to do what he's doing, because I've wasted so many years not doing what I really wanted to do. But no, Rory's he's a good kid. He's hit the ground running, and hopefully, I think one of the questions earlier that we didn't really cover was when are we going to do more tastings? I think Big Robert had asked, and hopefully, providing everything goes okay for the rest of the year, we'll try and get out maybe the end of October, beginning of November, to do as many tastings as we can in Belgium. And I would very much like Rory to come with me, so that people can start to get to know him and put his name to the brand. You know, I'm not getting any younger.
You can do a question with that. Pronounce his name correctly. Rory.
Rory.
Okay. I'm not going to try anymore.
No. It's Rory is the direct translation into English is the red one, but it tends to mean fierce.
Okay.
And he's not. The crazy thing, my youngest son is way, way bigger than me. Both my sons are taller, but Rory is built like this. And we were sitting watching football one day, and Rory points to his brother and says, "Dad, explain that." "Excuse me? That's your brother." I went, "Uh-huh. Look at the size of him." can you explain why I'm built a spaghetti and pipe cleaners? And he's that size. So yeah, when you see Rory, he's a very different character from me, but he's a wonderful kid. And I'm very excited about moving forward with him on the team, that we can expose him to meeting guys like yourselves and basically falling in love with what I fell in love with. So it'll be fun.
Are you saying you're falling in love with me now?
Whiskey, mate. I fall in love with everybody.
We have a last question. He says it's his last question, but I'm sure it isn't going to be his last. It's from Robert again. I will defend the next season. For the people who know Robert, it's the one on the left. Or it's on the left.
So Robert's a bit of what we would call a special case in Scotland. Robert carries,
in Belgium, it's the same thing.
Yeah, he carries a massive burden of being born in a town called Greenock, just across the water from where I grew up. And Helensburgh, where I grew up, is a very, very posh, very wealthy, established area. Greenock, on the other side of the water, not so much. And his local football team are a team called Greenock Morton. Greenock Morton, you look at them and you just say, it's a shame for them, because they're terrible. My team, as Helensburgh, didn't have a football team. My best friend supported a team called St Mirren. And to this day, myself and all the kids are St Mirren season ticket holders. In fact, as I say that, my season ticket just came through the other day. So, Robert won't know anything like this. This is like a smart card on fancy turnstile. They don't have anything like that. But we play in black and white stripes. So if you are unfortunate enough to come from Greenock, you would term us as skunks.
Okay.
There's a lot of good tongue-in-cheek, light-hearted banter between the people of Paisley, where St Mirren play, and the people of Greenock, where the Morton play.
Okay.
It's a game of football, and it means a massive amount to me. But the very fact that Robert supports his local team and doesn't support something like Rangers or Celtic, who are just the big successful teams, that means the world to me. So I would side with Robert and his lot all day long if he was playing Rangers. So yeah, he's not a bad guy.
And in his defense, he really is a big fan, of course, of the Koalaila. He said, he mentioned earlier.
I remember when we were at the Ghent Festival, that was very much a favourite of his. I was over the moon with it as well, but I kind of take little turns on really being in love with peated whiskey and then falling out of love with peated whiskey a little bit. I've got to really be in the mood for it. And when I'm in the mood for it, the Kalila is fantastic. Now, I know it's young, and it is a young whiskey, but it's one of these distilleries that, in my opinion, the spirit works incredibly well, either very young or very old. The middle ground is good, but Kalila in its youth has got something that as it grows, loses. And it never quite comes back again. The really old stuff, yes, it's the same as any really old whiskey. You've got that elegance coming in. But that young Kalila, it just has something special in it. And it's certainly one that we'd look towards, replicating in the future. There are a couple of distilleries that I would like to be, have in the range as a kind of a common offering.
Okay.
And we'll see. But that would definitely be one.
Yuri, question for you.
Question for me?
Yeah, if there's one brand you're hoping they will do a bottling of, which one is it?
The name of a distillery?
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking?
Mm-hmm.
Whew. As you know me longer than that, Gunther. For me, the name of a distillery is not important. I just want good whiskey in the bottle. That's all that matters. And as an independent bottler, I think it's it's good to try also find casks of lesser known distilleries,
Yeah.
which is especially if you find something that is that's a bit out of the box, a bit different than what a distillery normally produces as their own brand, and which makes it all interesting for whiskey lovers in general, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Just to have an other idea of what a distillery is capable of, and that's, in my opinion, a big thing that independent bottlers should do is present lesser known things, other types of what the big brands don't do. It gives more value on the market, more differences, makes it more special, more diversity. That's what we're doing it for.
Okay.
I guess.
Kenny.
Yeah.
So no names. Well, if you find me a Klein leash, Kenny, please do.
I will have a go. Not a problem. I can find a Klein leash. It's going to cost.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
It has to be good and cheap, okay?
Doesn't always work so well, the good and the cheap bit.
Okay. Kenny, we mentioned her together earlier, and she even went on screen. But if you have to say Viktorija, how important is she for Dràm Mòr and for you?
She is Dràm Mòr. She is Dràm Mòr. Viktorija, without me, would still make a success of this. Me without Viktorija would not make a success of this. There's no two ways about it. I have never in my life met someone who works so hard. She is driven. She knows what she wants. She knows how she wants to get there. And what Viktorija has done for me, I honestly could sit here for the next 3 hours and not even scratch the surface about what Viktorija has done for me. She has changed my life.
Okay.
For every single bit for the better. When I met her, I was a meat inspector working in Scotland's busiest abattoir, killing 500 cattle and 3,000 sheep every day. I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I left the house at 4:30, and I didn't go home till about 7 o'clock at night. And that was my life. That was it. What Viktorija did for me is she made me believe in myself, which I'd never done before. And that was all down to her. Now, if I wasn't here to keep this going, Viktorija would keep this going. And this is one of the things I think is most important about this. I tend to be the face of this brand. And yes, I'm involved in it, and I'm involved a lot in it. But Viktorija is the brain of this brand. She's the beating heart of this brand.
Okay.
And and it's all done with no fuss. She doesn't want to be on camera. She doesn't want to take the glory. But honestly, the glory belongs to her, not to me. Okay, I do bits, and I pull my weight. I have to. I'm married to her. I've got to pull my weight. I'm told to pull my weight. But yeah, there is with no Viktorija, there is no Dràm Mòr.
Okay, Jürgen, how important is Viktorija for you?
Important to me. She's my day-to-day contact involving everything with Dràm Mòr most of the time. So most of the emailing has been done by Viktorija. So regarding all the paperwork, all the that stuff is through Viktorija. So she's also immediately responsive if I have a question. So she gets back to me really, really, really quick, which is normal when Kenny is working as a brand ambassador, is on a show somewhere abroad. He is not able to reply immediately. So Viktorija is really quick on giving me answers or telling me, okay, I will go after it and we'll find out for you. So which is a good it's a good way to work together. And I'm really, really happy with it, to be honest. This is mutual. This is a collaboration that works for me really, really well.
Okay.
I'm quite happy to to be able to do Dràm Mòr in the Benelux market.
Kenny, one more question before the end of the show. Where are you hoping to be within 10 years?
Ooh,
Oh, 10 years.
have your own story.
Well, in 10 years.
Victoria's answering for you. That's funny.
Somewhere at the beach in a very exotic location, I guess.
This is a very Scottish thing, you know. When we get married, we don't have to think for ourselves because our wives do it for us. Yeah, I don't. The one thing I wouldn't want to do is I would never want to put a parameter on where we could stop, because I never in my life thought I would be sitting here talking to you guys about our own whiskey. So it just shows that with a little bit of work, you can make a dream become possible. So then you've just got to imagine that anything that you wanted can be possible. You've just got to work at it and work at it. It would be an incredible thing. Certainly one of the things that I would want at some stage, probably in the next few years, I would love to have my own warehouse and bottling line.
Okay.
Because at the moment, as a small, very small independent bottler, you're very much relying on other people's time frames.
Yeah.
And them doing their job properly, which isn't always the case. Whereas if it's your own, you can guarantee that this will be bottled at this date and it will be ready for dispatch at this date. Whereas at the moment, we're kind of having to not quite take the crumbs from the table, but there are a lot bigger clients than us. So, you know, definitely the warehousing and the bottling, I would love to take control of. Viktorija has always dreamt to having a distillery, so never say never. Never say never.
You can have the warehouse. She takes the distillery. Okay, just for the viewers, next week we have 2 guests. Actually, we had 2 guests as well. Actually 3 guests, 2 included for one. For next week, it's Steph and Krien from the Kluizenaar. And like Kenny already said, they are friends of yours. So I presume you will be watching.
Yes, I will be.
Okay, it will be a bit in Dutch and a bit in English, I presume. So, Kenny, thank you very much for doing this. Jürgen, thank you for arranging this.
You're very welcome.
I hope you do a lot of good work in the near future.
We will.
I will see you after the show in the back. So just so Kenny can say, "Oh hell, that was crap." But
only my bit.
But I'm pretty sure we will meet again within the next few months. Okay. So Jürgen, thank you very much for joining us. And then we always finish with the guest. We give our guest the last word. So Kenny, within a few seconds, I will go on in the back, and you or Viktorija, whatever she wants, can have the last words. Okay?
Okay, Gunther. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Guys, I cannot thank you enough for the way that we've been treated in Belgium since starting this. It is where my international whiskey festival, the international whiskey experience started, and you have treated us unbelievably well. Thank you so much. Take care of yourselves, and I hope to see you really, really soon. Slán